Hello, everybody, and welcome into another amazing Market Talk live stream. Today is Tuesday, September 23, a little after 2 p.m. Eastern. Market did push up earlier today, but has taken a bit of a dump here, I believe, on some stuff that Powell was saying. But there's still some green in the market. Let's step away from all that, though. We want to talk about these growth stocks, which are absolutely ripping to the upside, and dig into some of the underlying reasons why, the data, the fundamentals, maybe a look back at last earnings season, look forward to next earnings season. Evan, why don't you take us into things? I know that you tagged already a couple of names on this post. I'm going to go ahead and retweet this on X. If anybody is tuning in right now on X, make sure that you are retweeting.
Please stop touching your mic.
Sorry.
Please stop touching your mic. Yeah, that was crazy.
That
was crazy what was happening right
anymore.
there. No, yeah, we're doing well. I hope you guys didn't hear that too. I just opened up the Robinhood Legend, getting the earnings hub going. Yeah, we just are talking, hanging out with Hamid. Hamid's a very smart guy. I enjoy hearing his thoughts. Hamid has some of his stocks which you guys can view publicly on Savvy Trader now, and Earnings Hub as well, which are both websites that he goes in and is the owner of and runs and creates a really great product. So we'll dig into some of the stuff that are going on there. But yeah, no, just good to get it started. Hamid, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Evan?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. We have
Good.
some of the names. Rivian has started to perform pretty well. We're just gonna fully expose Hamid here right at the start of this one. Here is Hamid's portfolio, which you guys again is free to view on Savvy Trader, and we will get the link in the chat. We'll make sure you guys can end up seeing that. But we have Rocket Lab, Robinhood, Bumble, Rivian, Meta, Google, AEO. We're still in this one, and Bitcoin as well. I think total return, we're green on all of them. Looking good, looking good. Let's make it a little bit bigger. But these are some of the names they're probably going to start to focus around at the start here. Talk through why Hamid is in them. Maybe one or two ones. You can look at the past positions. Maybe one or two of these names that. Listen, there's a lot more red on here than here, which it tells you you're able to keep the winners and let them run. But the Rivian one I find to be a little interesting right now. Also, Bumble, there was a story around Meta yesterday, which is also in this portfolio. I feel like if for fans of the show and everything like that, and by the way, if you guys are in the chat, make sure you guys go in and say anything, give some thoughts. We can put it up on the screen. But yeah, Meta, I feel like was a larger position in the past. Am I wrong?
It was.
In the recent past.
Well, not recent past. So I haven't trimmed Meta for a while. I think I may have added to it during the tariff sort of drawdown, and then I may have sold some of the ones that I added during the tariff drawdown, the April drawdown, if you will. But I did have a lot more Meta historically, just because I was accumulating it quite a bit in 2022, 2023 timeframe when basically Meta was declared dead. TikTok was going to take over, and Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook were basically no longer in vogue, right? So that was when I was accumulating it, and then once it started to triple, I started to trim quite a bit, and I think I've sold more than half of my Meta from the peaks, but then I was investing in other things like Rocket Lab, which has 10x, more than 10x from the bottoms of where I bought it, and I think my average Rocket Lab has even 7 or 8x average buy-in price. So I've done well despite selling Meta, and then of course I've kept a lot of Meta as well. So the more recent investments have all been around Rivian and Bumble, and American Eagle was a short-term sort of investment that I exited half of my position, but then still have half, and we'll probably exit that in the coming months. So which one do you want to talk about, Evan? I saw your holding Apple went up 4% yesterday after they announced that their iPhone sales was quite a bit faster than previous, like iPhone 16 even. So that was a surprise to me.
That was definitely an interesting one. That went pretty well. Apple. So the story, and I can honestly go in and share my screen here.
Yeah, and
this
I'd be
hope.
interested in touching on the Meta glasses as well at some point.
Oh yeah. So what I love about the Meta glasses is that first of all, for people who wear glasses like me, these are like my normal Ray-Ban glasses. The Meta glasses look just like these. For the just non-display version, they're hardly distinguishable. They just have like thicker sides, if you will. And when I wear those at the previous generation of them, no one can tell. Like generally speaking, nobody says anything. People can hardly even tell that they're Meta glasses, smart glasses with cameras on them. I like the new display ones that they came out with. They are thicker though, so they'll be interesting to see how well those are received. And I guess you can't actually buy them without an appointment, which is kind of surprising. I went to go place my order for one, and the only thing you can do is schedule a demo, which I was very disappointed about because the closest demo place to me is like 45 minutes away, uh, and that's not. And it's like at a Best Buy, but like I have tons of Best Buys between me and where this demo is taking place. So um, they're slow rolling it for sure because there would be a lot more sales, and they want to make sure that people are having a good experience onboarding them, which will be interesting. I'll report back when I actually have the demo.
Yeah, I tried to pre-order the glasses, but you can't yet, right? And so you got to do the demo and some of these other pieces. But yeah, I'm intrigued as well.
Yeah, the one with the display you can't pre-order. You can pre-order the smart glasses, which the price on them is so good. It's like $300, and if you need prescription and you add your prescription to it, it's actually less expensive than going to the mall and buying a pair of Ray-Bans like these. It's also like around $700. So the Meta glasses with prescription are around 700, but so is a pair of Ray-Ban with prescription at the mall. It might actually. In fact, the price could get closer to 1,000. Just the last time I went to the mall to get a pair of glasses was crazy. So you can
Yeah.
get smart glasses cheaper than you can get regular glasses for now.
I didn't watch the whole thing all the way through, but it seemed like they had a lot of issues as well in that presentation.
That's kind of the problem here. So I was watching a Marquez Brownlee video after, and he said, hands on, great. I enjoyed it. I loved it. This is fantastic. But because the demos sucked and went so well, so not great, that people aren't talking about it like they maybe would. So I think that right now we're in a wait and see mode with this to see what they actually end up doing. But the demos did have a lot of problems. They came out and explained it the next day, like on the thing. He said, "Oh, the Wi-Fi is not working." Clearly, wasn't that. He did say after that it was like it was something technical that they did, and yeah, maybe it's right, maybe it isn't actually what happened. But yeah, I'm defaulting to Marquez Brownlee and the reviewers. I think this is going to be pretty good. But we were in person, me and Hamid, when we saw this, and I kind of went to him like, "Listen, I was a little underwhelmed from it."
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just kind of what happens in the keynote.
You know what's funny is that obviously there's little excuse for demos going that bad, and I think the demos did go pretty horrifically bad. But what I saw also people sort of praising Zuck about is kudos to you for not having a pre-scripted BS demo that is all smoke and mirrors the way Google does, or the way Apple does. Apple goes on full on production on these things as if it's a full blown movie or something, and the amount of everyone's moving away from these like real live demos, whereas that's what like Steve Jobs was all about. So kudos to Mark Zuckerberg for sticking with this sort of real time live demos. Obviously, they should practice more. They should figure those things out beforehand so that it doesn't go so bad. But there's some like savior there.
Anything else on Meta for you, Evan?
No, this was your sparking conversation. I know you were excited about it. What else? What else about it was interesting for you?
I mean, I just look at it. I can hear like why you're saying you've sold because you've reallocated to other areas that are more interesting to you. I think that that's really the only reason for me to look at selling Meta right now. It just continues to chug upwards, 200% last 5 years, 33% past year. If you bought out of that dip, right, you're up, from 484 or whatever it is. If you got it at 500, let's say, to 750. That's a nice 50% move right there. And then the company just continues to not seem to have too much care as to how much they put into AI right now from an R&D perspective. And so
Yeah.
they're just going to keep building on that end. I like Zuckerberg's vision with some of these pieces. So to me, it's a nice core holding for a portfolio right now, but I still understand, wanting to have the upside of the others.
Yeah, no,
Specifically on the
I'm
Meta
not sure.
glasses, though. Yeah, because that's all stuff we talked about.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
the Meta
curious though
glasses, I think
on
it's a
the
little
Meta
bit
glass.
it's a little wait and
What's up?
see, but yeah, I would love
No,
to
but
use them. I just, I guess my only concern is,
we need to see them first. I want to, but I'm curious. Did you? I know Gav's a busy guy. He's not going to go in and make an appointment. Hamid, did you make an appointment? I know we talked
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
I made an appointment. It's like October 2nd or 3rd or
Okay.
something. I forget when exactly it is, but it's like it's this earliest that I could possibly get an appointment. Um, but with Meta, as far as a holding in my portfolio, it's still like 8.5% of my portfolio. So it is a big bet for me, and I don't intend to trim anymore, at least not at current prices. I do consider Meta to be undervalued again, based on the bets that they're making and the
So why aren't you
execution
buying more?
that they're having. Well, so my portfolio is roughly 20 as of today. I trimmed a little bit of Robinhood. It's roughly 23% in cash. I do think what's funny is Powell's comments of the market being a little bit overly valued, highly valued. I kind of sort of agree with those sentiments. I mean, my portfolio in the past year is up 180%, so year to date, it's up 88%. These are not normal numbers. And I do want to go slowly more and more into cash. If it wasn't for, the fact that you have to pay so much taxes when you sell these things, I probably would be selling even more and kind of playing it even
Gav has a
safer.
solution for that, though. Gav found a solution.
move to Puerto Rico. Yeah. So that's the issue for me, is that it feels a little high risk right now, which is why I'm not buying more of some of these stocks. But I haven't sold any of Meta for a while now.
got
So what are
it.
you doing? What are you doing with your money, though? So are you just sitting in the cash? You have any
Yeah.
Really? So just getting the 4% of that? You
Yeah.
haven't looked for any higher
Yeah.
yield or things? So listen. I mean,
Is there
we've played
anything that
around.
yields higher?
Here's the thing.
with
We've played
safety?
around with. Yeah, exactly. That. There's a risk curve here. There's all these people trying to play these income games or something like that. There's companies that we work with or whatever. So there's one that has this product called CSHI, and what they're trying to
Okay.
do is buy 1 to 3 month T-bills and then doing a very safe covered call strategy on top of it. Say they're
Okay.
trying to give you double, triple the return which you would maybe get, and they're kind of selling covered calls across indexes.
So
And they're trying to
what's the
be
downside risk on that?
the downside risk is you for a treasury strategy, there is no risk kind of per se besides the US government defaulting in the next 1 to 3 months. With this, I'm sure there is some covered call risk here, with how they do it, but I know they're doing it in a very safe way. So I think it's aggressive black swan risk.
And
You'd
then
have to look a little
what's
bit
the
deeper
yield?
into it.
What's the yield on that?
Let me look. I said, transparently, I have to look into it because it's not something that
Yeah.
What was the
To
question? The
me,
what on it?
what's the yield? Is it
Oh,
4.5% or how much more?
it's slightly higher. So over the past year, what would you have gotten? 4.25 on regular treasury
Yeah.
bill. They returned 5.5, or maybe it was slightly lower than that, 5.27. So it was an
But there's some
extra.
risk involved there, basically. So the way I look at it is my whole portfolio, including the cash, is up 88% year to date. So I don't need to sort of optimize the cash portion to be
Yeah,
any riskier than it is. If the market
yeah,
tanks, I want the cash not to tank, right? So um, that's part of the risk management for me.
sure. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
We appreciate you being here, June. I can keep us moving, Gav. I will host it. Cool. I appreciate those thoughts there. Let's move over. We got Earnings Hub in front of us. There is a name or two that's reporting this week. We got Costco and Micron. Micron is one that's reporting today. I know it's got an A on the Earnings Hub score here. Guess it's growing pretty well. But this is one of those ones, it's a cyclical area. You kind of zoom out a little bit. There's just some peaks
Oh,
and valleys,
interesting.
and we're getting closer to very much around the high end of a peak. So we'll see that the expectations are
But
11.16 billion.
cyclical
But
stocks are generally cyclical season-wise. This is
seasonal.
interesting because it's like over years. Like how is it like cyclical in that way?
But I mean,
Like,
also look at this: 11.126 billion is what's expected. This number here, which is an outlier, is 9.3 billion. So this is not
so
only this looks like
they're growing
Micron. I mean,
rapidly.
yeah,
This looks like
that's pretty
Nvidia, you mean?
impressive. Yeah, well, this looks like it's breaking out from a trend. I wouldn't quite say Nvidia because Nvidia would be doing this like on top of like here. Like it would be all the way up here or something.
If you just go from the latest bottom, that
Yeah,
growth
here.
right there from 3 billion to like 9, that's like over years. It's
That is
not like
insane.
over. Yeah, that's pretty insane growth. So they must be doing something with AI. Holy cow! Look at that estimate.
Yeah, there you
Wow.
go.
Yeah, they have an amazing chart, and they
Wow.
are in the AI world. So the reason that I know more about MU is I believe that it's one of the top holdings in AIS, Evan. And so I think we've talked about it a little bit with Adam Patty, and he was
God,
mentioning.
what are you doing with your bike? You're like
God,
getting
I'm
in and
sorry.
out.
I just adjusted. Does this make sound too, or is it just when I touch it?
No, no, you're just like now you're getting ASMR into the mic.
All right. Well, here's your ASMR for the day then. But yeah, I know that he was giving me a little bit of background, but they're like really heavily focused in that AI space, specifically in the infrastructure side of the AI space. And so, focused on storage solutions, memory, different pieces like that. And so they've absolutely
Yeah,
just
so what
soared.
Micron does is Micron makes it's kind of commoditized. They're making those chips for memory and other that's part of these data centers, but it's not, they don't have quite have the pricing power of like some of these NVIDIA's ones. So this is definitely a data center build out play. Um, but yeah, Micron's been around for a while. They've definitely been a player in this space, and they love to run. One of the sayings though, when you look historically on Micron is, and stocks like this is when the company looks the best is generally when you don't want to buy it, and when it looks horrible is when you do want to buy it. So I don't know. We'll see. That's like that old saying maybe is
Well,
Micron's had its run, but I know that
I
this is a little different.
yeah, I mean, if it's when you say cyclical, it makes it seem like, oh, it's the expectation is for it to come down, and I don't think that's the expectation for Micron in particular. I don't know much about this company. I haven't researched it at all, but companies don't have cyclical over multiple years. Like cyclical is going from like quarter to quarter. You
This
have a
is a bit,
cyclical,
I mean, this is a semiconductor play, and it's not going like year to year. This is like when basically they do a lot of ordering, and then there's a glut in the semiconductor space, and then people stop ordering, and then that's kind of what it is. So it is on like a not an annual cycle, but this is like the semiconductor cycle, we'll say.
well, like not everybody is going through those cycles, right? Nvidia is not going through that cycle,
That's because
and
they,
if if they go through this cycle, then Nvidia is probably also going through the cycle. So that's my point. By like, it's not cyclical in the sense that it's like, January, February, March are a great month, or Q4 is a great month because of Christmas or whatever. It's not cyclical in that way. There might be overspend right now on AI, and maybe all the semiconductors are benefiting from that overspend, and so is Micron. But this growth is, I think with the spend that is happening in AI, especially like a new $100 billion announcement yesterday, this might not be slowing down anytime soon. Meaning, like, it's not like next quarter they're expected to have less revenue. I doubt
yeah,
that anyway.
I just, I just think know what you get when you're buying Micron. Know what you get when you buy Micron. This is very different than a lot of the other semiconductor names that you'd be buying. This is not, I wouldn't call it an Intel because it's not the quite same thing, but this is more of a legacy semiconductor
Yeah.
player in there than some of the other ones. But
What,
yeah,
what,
we can keep moving on from this
what were
one.
the oh, sorry. I was just looking at the earnings sub scores. I was more focused on like the kind of the story before that.
Yeah, I was on the screen that whole time. A's, C's.
CCCA. I'm surprised that it has C's in those areas. The
Well,
fundamentals are
price
good to me.
Price earnings ratio is a C based on the top 500 most popular, not necessarily comparing it to
Sector.
the sector, right? So in tech, you have 25 is not high for tech, but it is high relative, because like some banks are included in there who have like, they're in the teens or whatever, PEs. And then price sales ratio of 5.45 is also high relative to non-tech as well.
Yeah, their growth, I mean, the revenue growth is awesome. The EBITDA growth is even better. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty excited by this name too.
Yeah. It looks pretty good.
Again,
Like fundamentally, they look pretty good. They are getting an A overall, but yeah.
I'm telling you, history says Micron, this is not a time to buy it. We'll see. Look at this Costco though we got coming up later this week as well. Look at this revenue jump. This must be the membership increase that they have coming here, but 86.5 billion, 86.2 billion is what's expected there. Nice jump happening each time. Should be an interesting Costco report we got coming up on Thursday, but we're getting too deep into the woods here. Let's talk some more growth stocks. I want to talk about Rivian. Rivian was one that
Okay.
has been moving pretty nicely. And we started with Apple, but then literally got dragged away from it in a second. Latest Rivian headline that I posted out was the one on the September 16th about the Georgia facility. I'm sure there's been some other ones since then. Rivian, the next earnings date is going to be November 6th, so we're still more than a month away from that one. But she's having a not so bad day, a not so bad week. We were at what, $14, $13.80 just a week
Yep.
ago on this one. Rivian, we got any updated thoughts here? If I'm going back to your portfolio, and I won't look at, I think this was the third largest holding. Although there's kind of a band of a Rocket Lab and a Hood, and then we got Bumble, Rivian, and Meta together there. It's one of those three.
That's right. That's right. So I'm extremely excited about Rivian. I recently increased my Rivian position by 40%, sort of like double downing on it. And if you want to know my thesis as to why, basically this company is the dangers of this company is that it's not making money, it's losing money every quarter, and it could run out of money and go bankrupt. That's the dangers, right? So now,
Big
like
danger.
the question is, it's a big danger for any company that's not yet profitable. So we should understand the risk. Is the downside risk of this is that it could go bankrupt, or if it has to raise more money, its valuation is probably going to get hit because investors don't like companies that raise money constantly. However, this company currently has over $7 billion in cash, and its burn rate is somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 million per quarter, and decreasing hopefully going forward. So even at present burn rates, it has roughly 3 years or longer, assuming things don't even get better. Right, so that's one thing that it has going for it. So there's multiple catalysts. Then the next generation vehicle that it has, the low-priced $45,000 vehicle that is going to compete with the Model Y, is super attractive. They're already producing them in low quantities for test purposes, and they're seen all over the roads, and people are loving them. They have at least a couple 100,000 pre-orders for this vehicle, and they expect to start delivering them in the first half of next year and ramp quickly to as many as 200,000 vehicles with their existing manufacturing facility. So the Georgia manufacturing facility that you posted about that's upcoming is something that is expected to happen in 2028 and beyond, and add another 200,000 to 400,000 vehicle capacity for them. So if the R2 is a hit and they can make it at scale, then the losses per quarter are going to rapidly decrease, and it might become a profitable company as early as late 2027. That's sort of like the possible expectation of profitability. Now, put the vehicle stuff aside for a moment. They are also very similar in the sense that they have followed Tesla's footsteps. They have their own battery tech. They have their own charging network. They have their own software and electronics in the vehicles. They're a full stack company, basically, very similar to Tesla. They do over-the-air updates. And they also have AI and autonomy that they've been working on for some time. And they all their vehicles are capable of getting over-the-air updates and getting autonomous capabilities similar to full self-driving in Teslas. So the market's bet is that this company cannot even come close to Tesla or have any kind of autonomous capabilities, but they're about to demo what they have been working on in December. So as we get closer to these dates of like December for AI autonomy, which they might surprise on the upside, that's my bet, is that they will surprise other investors, not me, that, oh, wow, they're capable of doing autonomous driving. This changes everything. So there's that upside surprise that might be coming in December. And I think more and more people are starting to get convinced as RJ has been going around talking about it. And then as they get closer to the release of the R2, and people are like loving the pictures of the R2, it's a sexy looking vehicle. And it's like the best alternative to a Tesla Model Y. If you don't want to get a Tesla, the R2 is the one to wait for. So, the combination
I
of
do
these things.
wonder. I mean, I do wonder. So the R2, like the path to profitability is probably how this company, survives and avoids that bankruptcy thing. But the
Yeah,
pathway to 10x is probably getting the market to believe they can have a pathway into autonomy. That seems like
100%.
the win condition here, right? So that's how like
Yeah,
Tesla, I mean,
absolutely.
Tesla's been able to do that. When was that
Yeah,
event again? You were saying November,
December. So they haven't put an
December.
exact date on it, but they've just said the month. RJ has said the month. But like if you look at this company, it's an $18 billion valuation company, right? Even at present, like despite it going up 10% or whatever, it's like peanuts in relative to its valuation. It's $18 billion. If it has autonomy capabilities, I mean, like Waymo is being valued at multiple hundreds of billions. The autonomy robotaxi portion of Tesla is easily half of the value of Tesla, if not more. That's like what the valuation people are putting on it, which Tesla has a $1.4 trillion valuation, 1,400 billion, right? So Rivian at 18 billion could 10x, and it would only be a $180 billion company, right? And that is in my opinion, not investment advice, in my opinion, that is within the realm of possibilities over the course of the next couple of years as they start to actually execute on these things and show their ability. Rivian could easily become a $180 billion company, and that would mean that it's 10x from here. So that's why I'm excited about Rivian. That's why I have been buying Rivian, like as part of my investments more recently.
Yeah, what do
Did
you
I
think?
lose both of you guys? We may have lost Gob. His screen is frozen. Yeah, there
Oh,
we go.
okay, interesting. No, that's fair. No, so like we were saying there, the only way we kind of can get to some of those valuations is if the market kind of starts to think or buy. Like we're only getting to $170 billion Rivian if the market is buying that they could do
Autonomy.
some stuff in AI. Yeah, because when you look
100%.
at if I looked at the largest car companies in the world, obviously they have a lot of debt. So that kind of skews some stuff, the total value. But Toyota's at
How much debt?
260 billion.
How
I
much
mean,
debt
if we
do they
looked
have?
into it, but like significant, like let's see, Ford and I'll look at Ford and GM in a second, but Toyota's a $260 billion company. Tesla, obviously 1.4 trillion. We had a couple Chinese names in here. Ferrari's 87 billion, GM's 55, Ford is 45.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking at some debt on these companies, let's take a look at good old Ford.
Well, look at that for Rivian in particular. I don't think they
It's like
have.
4 billion.
Yeah, it's around 4 billion. It's not out of control, and that debt is not due until 2030 and beyond. So, I
I
think they're
believe
in a
Ford
great
has
position to be able to execute.
I believe Ford has something like 150, $160 billion of debt is what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But a lot sometimes with car company debt, you don't know if it's their finance division. A lot of these companies have like a
That's
finance group
fair.
that has huge debt. So um, I don't know if it's like Ford's 150 billion in debt is because of like loans on their vehicles, or is
100
it
billion
because
was long term, 50 billion was short term. I wonder if that 50 billion was more kind of equated towards that. But that is a fair point, actually.
yeah,
Looking for Rivian, it says $4 billion, $4.4 billion of long term debt.
Yeah, I'm not worried about their debt right now. Yeah, so I think it has a lot of upside potential because of that discount that like basically people have written it off, right? Like it used to be a $200 stock, and now it's a $15 stock, so it's gone down more than 90%, and people wrote it off as if it's going to go bankrupt, and if it doesn't go bankrupt, I think it's going to be a surprise for people.
I
Then it
would
starts
agree.
going
Yeah,
the other way.
yeah, that is fair. That is fair. Can we talk about Rocket Lab?
Yeah, yeah,
RKLB. It dumped
I love
off of
Rocket
that
Lab.
share
Yeah.
offering. I know you're up a good little bit on it. We're showing it earlier. I bought some after that share offering. 47.74 is the cost that I end up getting in there. Um,
Nice.
they had some PR yesterday around the stuff that they're sending to the moon. It's really easy to make a good, compelling PR for in the space area. It can
Yeah.
sound really great. What the actual impact is, we shall see. But can you tell me a little bit more about your Rocket Lab thesis and why this is one that you're in? And yeah, I mean, I
Well,
guess to be in Rocket Lab, you have to be bullish on space as well, and kind of thinking that's here now.
yeah,
So
there's
yeah,
no question. I'm bullish on space, right? And basically, SpaceX has proven why you should be bullish on space. They put out a network of satellites that provides internet globally, and it quickly have become the number one provider of satellite-based internet, which is pretty amazing. But B, they have gotten people to switch off of their cable and other internets to Starlink, as I have, for example. I used to have a ton of problems with my internet, with my cable internet that's connected all the way to my house. And now I go with satellite, and this like connection right now is with satellite using Starlink, which
Yeah.
is unbelievable. And Starlink for SpaceX has become from zero to like $15 billion annual revenue in a very short time, like less than 5 years. And it's like one of the fastest growing things. And you could easily see it grow to over $100 billion of annualized revenue, if not more. And therefore, others are jumping in as well. They're like, oh, wait a second, we want to be in this. There's going to be satellite directly to cell capabilities that are also being planned by Starlink, by STS, by others as well. Amazon is jumping into internet via satellite. So besides internet and communication, there's lots of other uses for satellites. And the lower you can get the cost of satellites, the faster the growth is going to happen. So over the course of the next 10 years, I think satellite and moving satellites into orbit is going to continue to be a growing business. SpaceX is the number one player. Who's number two, right? So the number two is China. It's not some other company. But the number two company is actually Rocket Lab. So that's publicly available and publicly traded. And that was my thesis around Rocket Lab. And it's a tiny fraction of the size of SpaceX. And that's because it also sends up a tiny fraction of what SpaceX does. But it's sending more and more. It's also developing its next generation rocket, which is going to be reusable, called the Neutron. And that rocket is going to start going up as early, the test flight is going to happen as early as end of this year, possibly early next year. But once they have that, every launch is going to add an extra $50 million of revenue for them. But they also have satellite division that is currently 70% of their revenue and growing rapidly as well. So Rocket Lab is in a great position to, like if you were to fast forward this continued growth rate of like 50% plus annualized growth for the next 10 years, it's sustainable, right? And they're going to be a massive company as a result if they continue to grow like this. So that's why I love them.
what makes you think that growth is sustainable? So, when I think about space, this has always been something we've been obviously excited about for a while if you look back through history, but it's not really been something that's commercialized yet. And obviously, we're kind of talking about a
Well, now it
first here.
is.
Yeah.
Right now, there's no question it's commercialized. Like Starlink showed the commercial capabilities of rapidly scaling communication. To from
How
$0
does
in revenue 5 years ago to, like $15 billion annualized right now, maybe even more. They haven't released like sort of, they don't release detailed numbers, but SpaceX's $400 billion valuation is coming directly off of that Starlink revenue, right?
yeah.
So, and it's not slowing down. Like there's no chance that more and more people are not switching to Starlink. That's just going to continue to grow faster and faster. And it's global. Like they could literally have 1 billion customers for Starlink someday, paying $1,000 a year. That's $1 trillion opportunity right there, just for internet connectivity alone. You add to
Why
that
Rocket
cell
Lab?
phone connectivity. Go ahead.
Why Rocket Lab over some of the other names that are popular in this space? The
Who?
ASTS is one that gets talked about a lot. I don't know why, even
So
when they're doing a
ASTS doesn't
competitive.
have anything. That's my problem with ASTS, is that like basically the only thing that ASTS has so far is that they've demonstrated single phone call. Like they've demonstrated the capability of like doing a high speed or video call from using satellite from cell phone to cell phone. But they've done that with one phone, right? Like not a dozen phones, not hundreds of phones, not thousands of phones, with just one phone, as far as they've publicly disclosed. And the promise of ASTS is that once they get 40 to 60 of these satellites up in orbit, which they have 0 of in orbit currently, but once they get 40 to 60 of them in orbit, they will magically be able to handle millions of phone calls simultaneously. And that just seems like an enormously large promise that is completely unproven and all PowerPoint based, basically. Like, here's what we'll be able to do, and we haven't done any of it yet. And based on that, they're getting a valuation that is on par with Rocket Lab. So ASTS has $0 in revenue, or rounded to 0 if you round their revenue to the nearest 10 million, let's say. And Rocket Lab is $450 million of trailing 12 months revenue, growing at faster than 50% year over year. So Rocket Lab, at the same valuation, by the way, Rocket Lab is in a much better position to capitalize on space than ASTS is. In again, my opinion, obviously. So, yeah, that's why I prefer Rocket Lab over ASTS.
What would have to happen for you to shift over some of the funds? Would you want exposure to both?
No,
I
he
have,
just told
well,
us the whole bear case on it. What
he's
I'd
saying
be
it's like, hey,
curious
like, they're
is
not making
if there's
revenue.
any.
It's all hypothetical, but I'm saying, like, let's say they get some up there, right? Let's say they
oh
start
yeah,
making,
if they get some up there, and all of a sudden, like that technology works, which is like completely unproven currently, and they can sell that through the carriers, which is their plan right now. That could be pretty incredible opportunity, right? Like, but currently it's overpriced for its existing execution level, which is basically a demonstration of a satellite-based demonstration of a single call. It's just like, what? We're giving a $20 billion valuation to a company, or like $15 billion valuation to a company based on one demonstration of a call. They still have a lot of work to do in order to actually get there.
even at that point, would they need, additional protection, patents, big clients, things like that for you to still want to come in, even if they prove concept?
They have tons of patents, so I don't care about patents. They already have great relationships from, like, it seems like every major mobile carrier, like AT&T, Verizon, Vodafone, internationally, they have that. So they have the pieces of the puzzle in place. What they don't have yet is the tech demonstrated at scale in orbit. So they promised that they were going to start sending 2 satellites per month to orbit starting in July, which got delayed to August, which got delayed to September, which has not gone up yet. So far they have 0 out of the 6 satellites that they had promised to have up by the end of September. And the valuation is super high. There's a lot of challenges that they still have to get through in order for me to be excited about ASTS. Now, is the direct to sell from satellite tech exciting? Hell yeah, of course that's exciting. And by the way, Elon Musk just invested $17 billion into spectrum through SpaceX, and is planning on having direct to sell tech deployed on thousands of satellites, by the way, not just 40 to 60. So their tech seems way less overpromisey, and and they don't expect to have it for at least a couple of years. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we move off this, enough ASTS to know we want to. I'm curious on the Rocket Lab part of this though, because that's what you're in. I'm surprised you haven't sold any. Is maybe
I have.
where this comment or question is getting at. You really? Okay, that's fair.
I have. So
Because it's
I
at
have.
24% of the portfolio, and where I think it kind of positions as you are, it feels like, I don't know if a spec play or it's like one of those ones that you think could be a 10x. And how does 24% of your portfolio kind of compare to where you would want it to be? A couple questions in there, but
Okay, so great question. So first, I have sold almost double what I have already put into it. So that's the first thing. I have sold. I do trim when stocks go up as much as Rocket Lab has, just to sort of like de-risk a little bit, right? But to me, the path to Rocket Lab having 10x more revenue is crystal clear. 10x more revenue for Rocket Lab is only $5 billion in annualized revenue. And I think they could get there in as little as 5 years from now, right? And so 10x, if they 10x their revenue, they could easily be worth significantly more than what they are today. This is sort of like the way I value stocks, is that like I'm trying to determine, even conservatively, would a $5 billion revenue company in the space sector that's growing rapidly, what would that be worth? Well, at the very minimum, it'll be 10 times revenues, but it could easily be 20 or 30 times revenues if it's continuing to grow at that rate, similar to how SpaceX is being valued right now. So, and that would basically give it a 50 to 150 billion dollar valuation, right? And which is significantly more than it is today. And from that perspective, I have a very long-term view on it. And like, if it were to double or triple tomorrow, yeah, I'd be shedding quite a bit more. And I will shed as it goes up. And I still expect to shed or trim as it continues to go up.
Can you talk a little bit more to the specifics of your trimming strategy? Because I get the notifications from Savvy Trader when you're trimming, and often it's at all-time highs. And I'm just wondering if there's more to it than that.
No, I mean, basically, like when I started investing in the company, it was a $2.5 $3 billion company, which to me seemed like a joke. Like Jeff Bezos has invested something like 10 billion. Estimates are that he's invested more than $10 billion into Blue Origin, and has achieved less than what Rocket Lab has, right? So Rocket Lab, you could buy the entire thing for $2.5 billion when I started investing in it. So it was just a no-brainer, and it already had $350 million revenue run rate. Now it's like at $460 million. So the revenue growth has been like roughly 35-40%. Actually, maybe it had less than 300 million at the time. So let's say the revenues has doubled, but the stock price has 10x since I started. And that's where I'm like, okay, well, now a lot of the future potential is baked into the current stock price. So if we have a market correction and Rocket Lab halves in value, that's a very realistic possibility. And it wouldn't be out of the question, and it wouldn't be severely undervalued even at half its current price, right? Especially if there's a sort of overall market correction. And that happened in April, for example. So my view is that I want to take some ships off the table as the stock is going up, and as more of its future is being baked into its current price. So,
got it. Okay, makes sense. Evan, any thoughts around trimming? I don't know. Do you trim a lot of your positions as they run up, Evan?
My question to Hamid would have been around selling cover calls and doing all that stuff. If I know a lot of people who maybe don't necessarily want to trim will do that, or selling
covered calls can be a good strategy, but of course, it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes the stock will go down, and it does go, significantly down, and you're like, damn, I should have sold the stock rather than just selling calls on it, which you just get the tiny premium. And then sometimes the stock rips, and then you're like, damn, I lose out on all the upside. That actually happened to me with Tesla in 2020, 2021 timeframe. I sold some covered calls.
And I know we
thinking
have to
that
wrap
I was
here, but
being
my
smart.
question is, hey, I mean, you're already going to sell anyway. Why not just sell cover calls at like the current price and bring a
That
little bit
was
more
exactly
premium or
my
something?
justification for it as well. No,
Yeah.
that's true. But then you also don't get the full value into your account, right? Like
Right
you're
at that
getting,
time, that is a fair
yeah.
point.
So if there's
We're
a correction, then you don't get that.
we're getting more good questions, but I know that we do have to wrap here. So we're gonna come back. Tell us why BMNR is a bad investment. There you go. This is too much to get into right now, but we're gonna have to come back and let Samid. Any final comments? BMNR open. Anything else you want to share?
Well, my comment on BMNR and just I look at it similar to strategy, MicroStrategy, is that like I am not a crypto guy, right? Like I have a little bit of Bitcoin, mostly as a backup plan if the financial institutions collapse, but not as
Yeah.
I don't look at any of crypto as from an investment perspective. So yeah,
There you go.
not a
Speculation to
fan.
the max. Very
I
cool.
try to speculate relatively little, actually, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool. Well, MU earnings later today, Costco earnings on Thursday. Encourage everybody, go check out earningshub.com, best earnings calendar on the internet, to see all of the information. Evan, any final comments for you?
Nope, not for me.
All right, then that's going to wrap it. Really
Like and
fun.
subscribe.
Yeah, like, subscribe, follow wherever you're at. Thank you, everyone, tuned in. I saw over 10,000 people tuned into this one. So
that's
that was
awesome.
pretty neat. Yeah. We'll be back
Very
again. Hope you all enjoyed this run through of mostly Amid's portfolio, but also some of the earnings that we're looking at. If you want to see the full portfolio for Amid, go to savvytrader.com and take a look at it there. I believe, is yours free to view on there?
Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. All right.